Hello and welcome to WonderTilt, the podcast where fascinating topics of the day are weighed with opinion, knowledge, and humor, causing the seesaw of life to lean in whatever direction it chooses to rest. I am Russ, along with my co-hosts Cloud Coma
Hello.
and Super
Hello
Dave.
there.
And it has been a very, very long time. I'm very excited. We are very excited to be with you today. Yeah. And you can, if you need to cast blame, you can cast it upon me. These two have been rip-roaring and ready to go for weeks now. And as you might hear in the audio quality, I am, for the first time ever on the WonderTilt podcast, actually using a legitimate mic and computer. So
he's a real boy now.
I'm very happy. Thank you. I'm a real boy now. Yes. But we're talking today about something that might throw you guys off, because we actually were going to do a part 2 to our whole movie topic from last time. But after this long break, I decided to take a little bit of a different direction. And so the question that I had today for Cloud and Super Dave was, what is your win? And I'll quickly explain to you guys, because what were your guys' first thoughts when I asked you that question for today's topic? What on earth were you thinking when I presented that to you?
I didn't really understand what that meant. If whether that was some obscure sports metaphor that I'm unaware of, or, but
what is your touch?
You explained it a little bit. I'm still a little vague on it, so I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts first, and then I'll see if I even have something like that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's valid. What about you, Cloud? What did you think when I presented the question? Have you heard that phrase before, or is this your first time hearing it?
No, I have. I think for me, it's like, oh man, it's a question I think I ask myself too often, and I beat myself up about.
Really? Okay.
Am I in life? Am I succeeding? It's almost a success thing. But at the same time, I think you have to answer, what is a win? Is it like happiness in life, or is it like financial success? Is it success being with your family? Have you built a big family? Have you left a legacy?
Right.
Stuff like that. Are you progressing towards your goal? If you want to travel, are you saving money in order to be able to do this? Are you maybe volunteering at another place that sends people overseas to do volunteer work if all you want to do is to be able to travel to other countries, right?
Right.
Yeah. Are you gaining skills in order to be able to do a certain task or job or a passion, a hobby, something like that, right? Right. I think that's what the question entails. And it's just, I think I ask myself that too many questions because I don't celebrate the win enough.
Right.
Because the wins for me, after you asked me this question, is I started realizing for me, it's all the little tiny things you do every day. It ends up being like, did I go to the gym today? If I did, great. Congratulations, because you just spent 20 minutes heading to the gym. You worked out for an hour and a half, and you came back, and that's like 2 hours of your day you spent at the gym. You worked out your body to be able to build it up to what you want it to be, whether it is to be healthy or just to look good, right? And if those are your goals, whichever the goal may be, they're both good goals. But definitely that was a win. You went to the gym, and then you get home, you cook something really good, like either nutritious or you even had your protein powder, something like that. Those end up being wins, right? Like you decided not to eat a whole pizza after the gym because you were super hungry, or to head to A&W and grab some takeout, right? Stuff like that. You went home, you grabbed, you ended up cooking like some veggies or whatever, and or maybe made a stir fry yourself, or made some steak or chicken or something, just something a little bit healthier than something to defeat the purpose of going to the gym, which was your win. That was one win. The meal was another one. And so I just think that's what it entails. Because when I don't go to the gym, I actually, the next day, or even right after, when it's like, oh, well, I could have taken this time to go to the gym. I had enough time to go, but I didn't. and now it's too late to go. I got to go to sleep. I'm too tired. Now it's just like I regretted it.
Right.
So
Right.
even just going to the gym and not making super like a lot of progress, at least you went, you did something, and then you went home. You won't regret that ever.
Right. So you make so
Right.
so to kind of unpack that, because you're absolutely right, and you went right into it, which is great, because to unpack it for Super Dave and for everyone else listening to the WonderTilt podcast, the term win, we all know what win means in terms of sports, or on
Short
gaming,
for a
or
window, right?
whatever.
Oh,
winning something
okay.
is just obtaining something.
That's it.
Absolutely.
I'll
You
just
can
go out
leave
as win
now.
over here.
I'm just kidding. but the reason why I used it today is one of the things you guys will learn about me that I'm very passionate about is leadership development, and that is a whole nother topic for another day. But some people that I follow, very respected leaders in the business world and in different industries, they always say, like, John Maxwell is a leadership guru. If you guys haven't heard about him, I highly encourage you to look him up. He's one of the leading experts, I would say, in leadership building, and that sounds so funny, but it's such an important skill. And so he and many other leaders say that one of the number one keys to success in life, and Claudio kind of explained it just a moment ago, is to define your win. But as per Claudio, there are many different types of wins. There are little incremental wins, like I'm going to work out today or have A&W. Like, is it a win or is it a win? What is your true win? Or there's, I want to be self-employed in 5 years, or I want to make one step further to being an independent artist who's self-supplying. So to clarify, Super Dave, to what a win is what is your core belief value that drives you in a direction. And it can be casual, like Cloud said about working out or health. Like, is the win choosing a salad over a burger that day? Or is the win doing 20 caricatures a day to practice for an art book or something? And so with that brief, you can even stumble around with it a little bit, but if you had to pinpoint something that you found in your own mind which is considered a win, like what is considered a victory, what is considered a life milestone for you, if you hit this every time, you feel satisfied or you feel like you're progressing somewhere, in a very broad sense, what would do
so
that
this
for you,
isn't
even off the
like
top of your head?
just something that I like to do. This is like an achievement, like something that
It drives who you are. Like, if saving money for a goal is a win for you, it'll determine how you budget, or it'll determine how you spend your money. Or like, if you want to upgrade your art supplies, are you going to go out with friends on a bowling night when you're tight on cash, or are you going to save it for a few months to buy something? The win can be a small choice like buying new art supplies, or it can be like, my win is becoming self-employed, and so I'm going to make decisions around that win.
I think I got it.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I get it. We'll get going here. You guys can maybe tell me some of yours, and we'll see what I can come up with. Yeah.
Okay. Scribble. Right. What is your win? Well, then, Cloud, you can go either super deep, or you kind of already like gave a really good explanation of like a very casual one. But right now in your life, you can go as casual or deep as you want to, but what is a win that you keep either hanging around in, like revolving around, or like what has been a win since you've been a teenager and you've always had it in your pocket as a win? You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, like, yeah, for a long time.
You can, there's some that have been stuck with you for a while. I think even Super Dave and I would have some. So, I mean, you can go that far back, or you can say a win that you've recently grabbed a hold of, whatever. But just to give the people an understanding of what you actually think is a win in your eyes.
Okay. I think like I think quitting my job and ended up being a win for me. It was just,
that's cool.
It was such like a scary and intense moment of what does my future hold for me, like if I quit this thing, because like, for those of you who don't know, I took an apprenticeship as a parts technician. It's a Red Seal trade, so I can go to anywhere in Canada, any of the provinces, and I can get a job as a parts technician. And a parts technician just kind of knows the parts of a vehicle, and then I end up selling them. So like if you go to an auto
Right.
shop or something, I would sell the parts that would fix your vehicle. And I went to school for, it was about 2 months out of the year for a 3-year period. And like I took tests, I studied for it, stuff like that. And so I officially got kind of like what is a degree, you could say, as a post-secondary education.
Right.
And so it was a career path I could take. It was something that, it was a very stable job. I could sell parts for the rest of my life if I really wanted to, right? And it wasn't a job that I hated. It was something that I knew that I wouldn't be doing it for the rest of my life. Once that I had gotten to a goal of, I got my certificate and I had mastered this trade, mastered in my own head. I'm not saying that I knew everything there is to know about this thing.
Right.
It was more so I had a steady job. I was getting a steady income. I could buy the things I wanted. I could see my family. It was all this kind of stuff. I didn't feel that me myself was contributing to other people. I learned about myself that even though I'm an introvert, I do care a lot about people, and so I like interacting with them. I like talking to them. But at the same time, they do drain me, so I have to spend my alone time, right?
Right.
But quitting my job was something that, going from a security standpoint and being very secure in what I was doing the schooling, having a certificate, it's a fallback if I ever need it. But the thing is, I have it in my head that I'm never going to do it again.
Okay.
And the thing is that who knows? Like I might go back to it, but right now at this moment, I don't want to. I really
Okay.
don't want to, because I feel that I'd be stuck in that position.
Sure.
Doing that thing. And so for me, the win, my accomplishment was quitting, was handing in my resignation letter that day.
Not going down
Even
that
though I
path
thought
anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Not choosing not to go down that path.
Right.
Choosing that, even though I had security and all this, I wasn't really happy doing that. And that was just more so in myself, like feeling fulfilled in what I was doing. I wanted to contribute a little bit more.
Right.
I was helping people by selling them parts. Things were getting fixed. I was dealing with people and stuff like that. But I wanted to help in a different way. And I still am not sure what that way is. But I knew it wasn't what I was doing. So I handed in that resignation letter, and what really got me through it was thinking, how would I feel after handing that in?
Right.
Because if I thought about handing it in the whole time, I would probably not be able to do it. I
Right.
wouldn't have done it at that time. Instead, I had to change my mindset and think, how would I feel after that? Would I feel that this yoke that's been on my shoulders, would that come off? Because it took me 2 years to get the courage to actually wrestle with this thought of not being in the place that I was, and then deciding to actually go and make the plunge and not be employed. Really, in essence, not make money the normal way. I would have to find another means of doing it.
Right.
So yeah, I just say that's one win that
No, I think
I
that's
know
a
is
really
definitely
good
one, right?
Yeah. Okay. And now, Super, do you think you got enough?
Yeah,
I don't mean to put you on the spot either, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's cool.
you just heard about the topic today.
I mean, yeah, that's right. I never prepare.
You're
I
used
like
to it, throwing you
I
into the
like
bus.
to go insane in the last moment, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. It keeps me alive. Yeah. No, I don't know. I've never really been very goal oriented, or even very like long term. I have I have a really bad problem with just like instant gratification of just like, what do I want to do in this instant? I don't, I have ideas and dreams or things that I'll come up with that's like, oh, that would be cool, but they're not very consistent, and they can change depending on the day or depending on, what has been going on. And, if I see something cool on TV, I'm like, oh, that'd be a cool job, or it'd be cool to live there or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean,
Right.
I'm kind of a classic underachiever too. I'm very low expectations there, standards for myself in terms of, like I don't work out. I don't, I only recently started paying attention to what I eat. And that's just because like my stomach lining is hell. Yeah. And it's just like acid that
Your body
burns
can't
through me.
handle
And
it,
I have to
baby.
just like make some quick decisions to keep that. But again, that's just pain response. That's just like, that's the only reason. So that's a thing. So, I'd say probably consistently, at least lately in more recent years, the things that like I feel the proudest about, I guess, of like decisions or actions that I take, would be like overcoming shortcomings I have, or like doing something that I really don't want to do,
Sure.
but I know that I have to, or that I know that I should. And if I actually manage to man up and do it, like whatever. I have issues with like social anxiety, right? And also I play on a band for our church, for one of our worship bands, and I'm fairly musically inclined naturally. That gets me pretty far without having to do much work. But the hardest part for me is getting on stage in front of a whole bunch of people and performing. You would think that would motivate me to practice more, sure, but see my previous statement about waiting to the last minute. Anyways, that's something else I'm working on. But so now it's like if even beyond just my regular, commitment to every time our band is playing, if I get an opportunity, like we had a conference here just last weekend where, fairly last minute, our worship arts pastor contacted me about it, and just saying, we need a bass player. Are you available? And my knee-jerk response was to just be like, no, sorry, I got this other thing going on, even though I didn't really. But
hell no.
I just, yeah.
I got to do the thing at the thing.
Staying in
I've
the
got
house
this other
for 2
thing.
days. It's going to keep
called
me real
not
busy.
involving myself.
But
thing.
I decided to wait, and I didn't immediately respond. And then we had a practice for our set coming up that night that I went to do. And then, afterwards, I kind of was feeling a bit more into it, and a bit more like, this is something that I can do. It's one of the few ways that I'm still kind of like involved in like a social activity, or like with the church or whatever. Why not? Like I enjoy it once I'm actually up there playing with the band. I enjoy myself. I get a sense of fulfillment. I feel like I'm accomplishing something. So I don't know. I guess for right now, it's like little things like that, like just like, overcoming, and then, being really anxious about something, but doing it anyways and surviving. Or, I don't know. Like lately I've been helping my dad with the snow removal too, since I'm kicking around the house and have lots of spare time, and, it gives me a sense of contributing and getting something done, which is unfortunate the last couple of days, because we've had just ridiculous amounts of snow.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
So much snow everywhere, man. It is just for anybody listening. Shut up, Cloud. Shut up. For anyone listening in warmer states or provinces, we've just been in our area, at least. I guess Cloud lives in a different part of the province of Alberta, but all throughout central to east Canada has been hit with this huge snowstorm. So like, I'm not very good at measuring snow, but I mean, what would you say, Dave, has like come down in Regina? Like, I thought it was like 20 centimeters for us, like 15 centimeters, something like that for us. I don't know about you guys. I don't even know if that's a lot.
We were we work like last night. It was like when I went out to shovel, that was around 7 o'clock in the evening. It was at like I would say almost a foot deep in areas where like it hadn't been trod upon or shoveled at all. It was like the point where it's still snowing, but if you don't get it up now, then it's going to be like 2 feet by morning, and that's like way harder to get rid of.
Totally.
So, and then true to that, this morning it had kept going, and I believe it's still going. Once we're done recording, I'm going to have to go out and cut some trails again. But yeah, It's crazy. It's crazy. It's more than we've had through like the last like 2 months combined almost. I don't know.
Unreal.
Oh, wow.
Now, I wanted to quickly point something out because I want to see what your guys' thoughts are. Because again, Super Dave is grappling with the concept of the win, and Cloud obviously thinks of it too much. So we've literally got opposite ends of the spectrum about this concept. And I don't want to hammer it too hard today because it can get too deep and it can get too overwhelming. And WonderTilt is about celebrating the good things in life. I would like to think that eventually we're going to
break down. Just joking.
So I thought this was about the emos podcast from hell. Oh, well, no, you were misinformed, Cloud. But I wanted to ask you guys this. There's a statement that was made. There's a guy named Andy Stanley. He runs probably the biggest church. I think one of the biggest churches in the United States besides Life Church. And he's in Atlanta. It's called North Point Church. And he says this: if you don't define the win will define you. As in, we are all striving for a win, regardless of if we're conscientious of it or not. The question is, are you willing to define your win to pursue? And Cloud, you alluded to it earlier, where you're like, I for me, dedicating 2 hours to my day to work out might be just a very simple win, but it's a very important win, because if I don't decide to make that win a priority, your health takes a hit or whatever. And Dave, for you, I mean, for overcoming social anxiety, getting up on that stage, period, is a win. But again, if you didn't prioritize expanding or getting over your shortcomings, you would never be in this position in the first place. And that's what I mean. And that's what Andy Stanley's saying, is that if you don't define the win defines you. And so I wanted to know if you guys, and I'm putting you guys both on the spot. I mean, I could even try to contribute. I've been mostly facilitating here, but like, are there any moments in your life where you can quickly, even if it is a small thing or a big thing, where you're like, I could have chosen option A or B, but I chose option A instead of B. And that has now become something like a pivotal point in my life where I've started to grow and pick better wins. I mean, that's, again, I'm putting you guys on the spot, but is there a moment where you can actually be like, oh man, I could have easily bypassed that, but I didn't? Or I could have easily decided not to pursue that career choice or pursue that hobby, but I did. Can you guys think of any moments off the top of your head? Just embrace the silence. just sit with me and just breathe.
Oh, sorry. Were you asking us? Oh, I was waiting for Trevor to say something.
You bet, Russ. I can definitely think of. I'll tell you what. I'll give you an example. Okay. Something for me lately that I've noticed is that I am an absolute social butterfly. I used to justify a win being like, even things like this. I used to justify a win, which was if I can have a meaningful conversation for 5 minutes or an hour or more, that's a win, because that's valuable dialogue. That's two individuals, actually thinking of good thoughts and coming up with ideas or talking about really cool things. They're not just talking about, I call them surface area issues, where it's, you're just talking about the weather and how's your job, but you're really getting down to the nitty gritty, like passions and purpose. That really makes me tick. Okay. That is something that I'm passionate about. But I realized that if I'm not careful with time, which is a resource, right? It's like money. It literally is money. Time is like, you either donate it to a job, like Cloud alluded to earlier, where he's like, this could be my life and I'm choosing not to. So bye, I'm quitting. But I realized that just having purposeful conversations on their own isn't a win. It's something that's a part of a win, but I needed continuous progress, continuous relationships that actually saw results. I've learned recently about spending time and investing time. And it's just like money. You can spend money, which is an equivalent exchange. Hey, Dave, here's $2. I want a chocolate bar. And then there's investing money. Dave, I'm going to give you, $5. And then in, 3 years, I'm going to get $50. It makes your money work for you. And so, I've recently decided I'm meeting with kind of a coach / mentor this week where he's going to actually help me. And it's very painful for me to chop, not relationships, but chop appointments I would typically do or coffees I would typically have where it is meaningful, but it's not heading in a direction. And that's a very recent win. Like I was going to give you like a very shallow win, for example, like back in the day. I'll quickly switch gears to like, there was a win back in the day where I was in high school still. And my parents had encouraged me, the defensive coordinator of a high school football team. Ironically, he's the high school football coach. And I was homeschooled just like his daughter. I don't know how that worked out. He's the high school football coach and yet his daughter's homeschooled. I don't get it. But we were friends and we had like this homeschool like athletic event. And I think we were just playing basketball or volleyball or something. He saw me and he's like, Russ, like you should try out for my football team. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay. Like I thought I was pretty fat and slow, but okay. And he's like, no, I think you'd be really good. And so I actually went to that high school and tried out for the team. And they actually said they wanted to use me. And then at the very same time, I was asked to become a part-time drum teacher in high school. And it was literally picking one thing over the other. And I had to define a win right then and there. Was a win bettering myself as an athlete or stretching my social boundaries and going into a high school football program, which was actually very intimidating. I can kind of relate to Dave's social anxiety. Or do I pursue music and get paid for it and potentially grow myself as a musician and as a communicator? And I had to
always money.
money. And I did. I defined my win as I feel like I should become a better communicator and I would like to get paid than a social butterfly and try to push myself in high school football. So those are two very extreme examples. One's a very deep time investment. The other one's, but that's the example I'm talking about.
So specifically
a needle pulling thread.
Okay, but I just confused as to whether or not that's okay. So you made a choice between two wins by deciding which one was truer to who you are. Is that what you're getting at?
I don't think you're right. There were two ideas of a win, but I decided which win I was going to pursue, right? It's defining my win. They both could be wins if I define them. But I decided that, for example, football and being a good athlete could be a win. But was that a win I wanted to own? Or did I want to be a musician or a teacher, right? So, yeah, you're absolutely right. They're both could be equally good or equally bad. But it's what win do you define yourself in? Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. The most obvious thing for me, and it seems like a very common theme in our podcast for me to be talking about, but that's, quitting my last couple jobs I had, and it's not necessarily, nothing really has come of it. So I can't even necessarily say whether or not I've made the right choices or not. But in both instances, it was, I'm working somewhere and I can do the job. I'm capable, but you're always weighing it against, just how much it takes out of you, right? And how much, and the effects it has long term on you, whatever kind of job it is or wherever you're working. In both cases, I chose to, I basically chose my own enjoyment and comfort over whatever security, responsibility financially. It's easy for me because I don't have dependents or a wife. So it's like my financial decisions are almost 100% like just myself, at least for the time being. So, I guess, I define my win as, what's going to make me happy. And that is something that
there you go.
I think
my
parents have like instilled in me and my brother and sisters too. To like, since we were kids, is just that, it's more important to do something you enjoy for a living than do something that's going to make you lots of money. But you could argue, hey, if you're making a lot of money, some people can enjoy that. But yeah, and again, it's not like nothing's come out of that too much for me, so I think I got to balance it out the other way. But it was an ideal sort of moment where I had to like look at what's important to me, what are my priorities, but yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all I can think of at the moment.
Does that drive your actions though? Have you noticed that that's driven your whole life's, decisions? Is what makes me happy over what, like is making more money, or this give me more financial?
I would say, yeah. And both positively and negatively, because like negatively, it has like made it that, as I said, I'm an underachiever. I pursue my own enjoyment and pleasure in the moment for what I want to do with my time. And it's all about, working a job that gives me enough spare time to do what I want, or,
right.
And, yeah, I'm on the upside of it. I have learned to be satisfied, with less. That sounds super sad and depressing, but to just enjoy small things in life, right? And
I'm homeless and I live in a box, but I'm super, super happy with it.
It's a nice box. It's a pretty nice box. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I guess I gotta wrestle with. But you're right. It's definitely something that has colored my perspective throughout most of my life.
What about you, Mr. Coma?
Well, like for me, I think like what Dave's going through, very similar to what I'm doing. We're pretty much doing the same thing. I'd consider that time off. Like I was a lazy butt for like 3-4 months. Like
really,
and it's probably just like recently that I'm just like putting my pants on and like actually doing stuff, and I'm not here in my pajamas all the time.
4 months of a naked cloud. That's
that's right. Picture that.
You're welcome. That's for
some
free.
Of those early podcasts, even that's
naked,
audio
right. Naked
in the nude. Okay, that's enough talk about me naked. I'd say what's the difference between what we're doing and someone saying, I'm taking a year off of work to go find myself backpacking in Europe?
Exactly.
That ends up being like our win is going to a place where, because we're introverts, we go back to a place where we retreat, right. In essence, to find ourselves. And just to a lot of stuff that I listen to talks about self-awareness and finding out what it is that drives you to do what you do. And what's your passions and your dreams, and what can you handle? What are you capable of doing? How do you work? Stuff like that. And when you find out the more about yourself, you start realizing, okay, well, maybe there is a way that I can use all this to steer my life in a direction that will be a win for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that time, because there's always seasons, right? You need that time of lazing about and trying to figure out what it is you want to do. You just like you also need rest time. Now, let's say that you're having those days of just hectic schedules and meetings and coffees and relationships and learning things, and you burn out. You really do. You can burn out with anything. You can burn out physically and mentally. And you need those times to kind of sit back, and maybe it's a season, maybe it's a whole season, or it could just be a day for some people. But you step back and just kind of look at yourself and say, is this making progress in my life? Or am I just stagnant and doing the routine, doing the same thing over and over and never getting ahead? So, are you happy not getting ahead? Are you happy making ends meet, being with your family? Are they happy? Are you making them happy? if that satisfies you, go ahead and do it. Because if that's what drives you to be who you are, I'm not telling you to not. Definitely go do it. And but for myself, like, I don't have a family. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a job. I pretty much just go day to day, learning new things, practicing these things, and in the end, like, I want to be an artist. I want to be a video game streamer. I want to make YouTube videos. I want to talk to people and in essence build a community and speak into people's lives and tell them that really that they might not be alone in this world that maybe doesn't understand them, or they're trying to figure things out, because I'm also trying to figure things out. I don't have everything set in stone. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I've always had a steady job, and I've never been out of work for maybe more than a month. And even then I had like employment insurance, and now I don't, because I quit my job. I decided and chose to not do it, and because of that I don't get EI. So it's just like, I don't know. That's really what I think. It's win's important no matter which way you take it, because even if you lose, losing in essence isn't losing. It's more of an experience,
Right.
and what makes a winner. Like, I was listening to a podcast, actually the Joe Rogan Experience, and he had a another guy on there, Jordan Peterson, was a professor, and they were talking about winners and warriors and stuff like that. And there was a quote on there where they said, "A winner is someone who never lets losing stop them."
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you're doing, and even if you lose, you don't really lose. You just found out another way not to win, right? So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree to some extent that, you know, you can always, as long as you're learning something, as long as you're taking something tangible from an experience, it's not entirely wasted. But you know, that is kind of like a qualifier, you know. And yeah, I mean, all the time off, that's definitely made me, you know, forced me to look at, you know, what motivates me, you know, if I, you know, if, you know, like what, I don't know, I got to come up with like different ways, whether it's like a reward system for myself or, you know, yeah.
right.
Hopefully at the end of it all, I will have learned something important. We'll have to see.
That's right. Well, yeah, you might still be like right in the middle of it or nearing the end. Who knows, right?
Well, I mean, and it sounds super boring. I mean, and I don't mean to make this a very dry interaction where it's just like, well, there goes Russ again, you know, talking about dreams and passions. No,
How dare you?
Drink. Shut up.
I don't have any dreams and
I want
passions
to
out there.
finish
They
my
talk
big
about that.
up in my basement.
Yeah.
Let me play Doki Doki Literature Club in my pajamas. Shut
and
up.
my A&W burgers. How dare they?
Leave me alone. I haven't opened the windows in 5 months. No, I mean,
That sounds like me.
I just love how you quickly steer away. Like, that's enough about me naked. Don't need to know about that. It's fine. But I do find it interesting about this really quickly, just because I would say if you asked any, and again, success could be subjective too, so I won't get too deep into that. But I mean, if you classify success as either financially well off, or, you know, a pioneer in their industry, or a respected craftsman, because, you know, there are some artists out there that are untouched and their whole legacy is simply that their work of art impacted culture, impacted the age that they were in, right? Like, they weren't a business person, they weren't a public speaker. Heck, they might have hated people. Like, Beethoven was incredibly irritable to most individuals, you know, and going deaf didn't help, but yet they impacted their culture around them because of their work. Their product changed the world, right? And so, but I do find it interesting though, that there was an internal win. And I think hopefully most of these examples that I'm referring to were at least somewhat self-conscious of it, or they at least kept aligning it. Like maybe Beethoven's whole win, like this could be a win, you guys, just for those listening. You're like, you guys keep talking about wins and they're like these concepts of, I want to be an athlete or a musician. Like, no, it's not that linear sometimes. It's more like Beethoven's win, for example, could be, I want my music to break and mend hearts, right? Like that could be a win that has carried him his whole life up until he died, was I want every ounce of breath in my symphonies to break and mend hearts. Like that could be the whole win. And then everything else surrounded as win. Here's a quick example. Let me know if this kind of helps you guys out. We were meeting, it was a business meeting a few years ago. And it was a very cool meeting. We had some really cool leaders and mentors there. And this guy said, hey, when you think Harley Davidson, what age demographic do you think? For also ask you guys really quick, because this is very interesting. When you think of Harley Davidson motorbikes, you don't even have to be a bike person. I'm not a bike person. But when you think Harley Davidson, what age demographic do you think of? Or do you even think of?
Midlife crisis, 40.
Okay.
Yeah, men from their 40s to late 50s. Yeah.
Okay.
And the women who love them.
And the women who love the midlife crisis. So you're exactly right. You're exactly right. So Harley Davidson, this was in this leaders meeting. They said Harley Davidson, and he drew a bullseye and like a dartboard, like a little circle, then a big white circle and a black circle, and then, et cetera, making it wider and wider. Right. And he says, all Harley Davidson did, because everyone knows what a Harley is. You don't even have to be a bike person and be like, oh, is that a Harley? Yeah, it's a Harley, They said they set the bullseye to one thing, and then everything else, like a draining tub, circled around it and got closer. So their whole thing was, we're not going to target younger people. We're not going to target, single guys. We're not going to target macho men. We're going to target midlife crisis, 45 to 55, and the rest will follow. And sure enough, because they focused on one win, one demographic, other things happened. So what I mean by that is Beethoven's win, or Super Dave's win of whatever makes me happy, or Cloud's win of I will never stop trying to fulfill my dreams, no matter what they are, no matter how crazy or simple they are. I'm going to always strive for my dream 100% regardless. That suddenly gets you a lot of other wins that like circle the drain. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it'll start to pull in mini wins, but they're all wins based on your one bullseye win. And so I think that if you want to make it simple for yourselves, if you're like, Russ, this is just way over my head, what makes you happy? Even start there, like Dave, and just be like, what is a win that I actually do every day? Is it to not stand out in class in high school? Or is it to, best everybody I compete against online or in a sport? Like, what is your win? And be aware of that is all I'm trying to say. Be self-aware, because you can either adjust it, like Cloud is saying, like adjust and tailor your win, or you can accept your win and it suddenly helps you in every decision from your life for the rest of your life. I don't know if that made sense or not.
There's also one thing I want to say too, is if you do have like a goal that's like super far away, kind of like I do, you can like put a pin in that dream.
Yeah, cool.
And then slowly make little wins to reach it, right? Which is the same thing as the drain concept that you're talking about. So like start with the outside goals and just kind of move to the center to your ultimate goal. So, and in the end, once you reach that, the thing is that it could become a bigger goal after that, right?
Exactly.
Like if you reach that, just never stop going to another goal, because once you achieve it, some people have gone into depression and stuff for it. But the thing is, it's because they've achieved, their goal wasn't big enough. That's what it was. And it needs to be big enough that it's the journey that will give you that fulfillment, because you're always accomplishing those little tiny goals to get to the one big goal. And that big goal may be a thing that will drive you your entire life. That's
Trevor?
all I have to say.
Trevor,
Trevor,
go nuts, please. Step your
Yeah,
game
no,
up,
it's a lot to
Trev.
think about. I'm somewhat at a loss for words. It's where an episode about personal goals and achievements and things that I have been not really doing a lot of lately.
It's hard, man.
I
It's
don't have
hard.
much to say.
Think
Yeah,
about it way too much.
and I
I feel
avoid
so
thinking about
bad
it way
because
too
I'm
much.
not.
It's probably my issue, and escape and
I was thinking about it way too much today, and I couldn't think of wins at all.
yeah.
Well, and I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus, Dave. I was just being
No,
like,
hey,
if
it's cool. I'm just being honest. I'm not complaining. It's all right. Some episodes I'll have more to say and more to relate about, and maybe I'll just get more from listening to this one.
no, man. Yeah, well, it's definitely designed, and this one was a bit heavier, and especially that's not the goal. Now, I will, the goal of WonderTilt again is to be about fun topics, different topics, and I will say again how proud I am of us three for not just sticking to one genre and beating it to death, because I think our whole ability is even to be uncomfortable like this, Dave, and
Yeah.
be like, well, frick, I don't know. I mean, I think it gives everyone a good perspective. Like, I think about this. I'm hot and cold. I think about wins either too much sometimes, and then I can't sleep at night. Like, Cloud can relate to that for sure. And then other times, Trevor. And then there are other times where I feel like I have not thought about a win or have looked in the mirror and thought, where am I going for a very long time? And so I don't think there's anything wrong, Dave, with your personality, because I think you've picked, I mean, dare I take a limb out here, or, but I think that I'm daring. I think that you have simplified your wins where your life choices on instinct follow them. I don't think that it's that you don't know what your wins are. I think that they just sound so common sense to you, where you're like, that's a win? Oh, cool. Okay, well, yeah, I've been doing that my whole life, and I'm just trying to expand slowly on what I've already built. And I don't sense that you're not a motivated person. I sense maybe that you don't think as intensely as I do, and I'm very grateful for that, and that's why we're friends. Just so you know.
Keep it a little chill around here so we don't just go off the rails and start breaking down.
It's not like it's learned behavior, because it's like I can definitely go that other way and get way caught up in it, and that's like why I've had troubles falling asleep at night, and like all my life. That's like the one time a day where I don't have like a TV or anything going on to like distract me, and I just have to sit there and like think about like where my life is and what's going on and what I'm gonna do with the rest of it. And so I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's a balance, right? And I think you just gotta find out what areas you suck at and try and be better. A little bit better every day, and I don't know. We'll see.
Bam! Mm-hmm. That was like the perfect summary, Dave.
Well, hey,
way to freaking go, Dave.
Hey, thanks. Maybe I am a winner.
That's right.
Maybe I am gifted. Yay!
Yeah, that's what it is.
You're freaking nailed the win.
That's
good.
Yeah.
Good job, Dave. No, man. I mean, for everybody listening, I know that this has been, and I apologize for how sporadic this has been, especially, if you're used to maybe listening. We actually were pumping them out pretty regularly. I think we were pumping out WonderTilt podcasts like once a week or once every other week. For the first little bit, right? And so just to fill everybody in, some stuff has happened in my life, nothing negative, but just a lot of things have just been thrown at me. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, as like time is a resource, I am like legitimately meeting with someone to say, I have too much crap on my hands and I have to simplify my life, because I do have dependents and I do have a wife and I do have to pay the bills. But at the same time, I'm just as driven as you guys both, where it's like, I want to be happy. I want to do something that makes me happy, and I want to impact the world. I want to impact people. And it's exhausting because if you don't journal it out, or if you don't get those thoughts out of your mind, you just go crazy. And so just so you guys know, we're not trying to be all super sporadic. Super Dave and Cloud have been super gracious to allow me to still do this podcast with them. And they kind of make their schedule work with mine, which I'm very grateful for, you guys. So thank you.
A lot of flexibility nowadays, you know. I really would hard to come up with an excuse to not be able to do it. So
I get anxiety. I can't do it.
But I enjoy it too. I mean, I'm good.
I would gladly
saying.
do a podcast, but I'm playing a video game right now.
That's right.
Yeah. Try not to think about my life.
That's right. I would love to be self-aware,
right.
but I'm trying not to do that. So.
Trying to escape.
Yeah. So no.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank everybody for your patience as we'll try to pump these out when we can. And I know these guys don't take it personally when I don't talk to them for like a few weeks, and then finally I'm like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And you know, so. But I mean, do you guys have any ending thoughts? This was definitely a deeper episode than I was hoping for, but not hoping for. This was definitely a deeper episode because of the topic I picked. So I'm sorry. Next week next time it'll be about cotton candy.
No. Oh, thank God. Yeah. Can we please talk about movies next time, please? Video games or something?
Please. You're talking about eating shallow food again. I don't care, man.
Food too.
It's gotten that bad for Dave.
Actually, this is a little win, kind of like a little goal that I have every time I go out. When I go shopping and stuff, and like at the supermarkets, and you're at the clerk or the teller or the cashier or whatever.
Yeah.
I try to make the cashiers smile all the time. So I kind of act goofy. And if it's a girl, usually I try, like, it's almost a flirting thing.
You bat your beautiful Chilean eyelashes at her.
That's right. Yes, they flutter. They cause hurricanes too, tornadoes and hurricanes. And so it's just like every time I do get a smile out of somebody, I do make that a win. I take a note of it, and it's just like, wow, yeah, I made someone smile today. So that's just kind of like a little tiny thing that I do.
Yeah, it's awesome.
On purpose. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Then I would say to everybody, even if you came out of this podcast scratching your flipping head, being like, what the F did we just talk about today? Take that as a win. Just be like, what are little goals that you can even be like, whoever I interact with, I want to make them happy. I want to make them smile, or crack a joke and see if they laugh, or compliment someone on something. Make someone's day. Make that your win, and just see what happens with your life. Make it a goal for like 7 days, for a week. I just want to make people happy. And then see where your life goes. You might figure out things that you actually really like doing, or you might meet people that, give you a suggestion. Suddenly it could change your life, making a simple win a priority. So we're not saying to change who you are. We're just saying pay attention to who you are and what makes you tick. And you might see some really cool things happen. Like I said, I'm kind of on one spectrum where I've got too many things on my plate and I have to simplify. Cloud thinks about it all the time, and he's trying to make deliberate steps. And Super Dave, I think, is self-aware, and some of his wins and other wins, maybe he doesn't even realize he's prioritizing. So don't feel overwhelmed by this podcast today. It's definitely an interesting welcome back that we've given to you guys, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please like, comment, subscribe, give us suggestions for future shows. You know what? I think who's in charge of next show? Is it Cloud or is it Dave?
It's me. I just want to also plug just
please.
You guys can go to you can go to our YouTube channel. So it's WonderTilt is our channel name. You can also go to WonderTilt.com. And we have that website.
Well done.
Yeah, so I'm just working on that. You guys can go there. I'm also going to be starting a Twitch live stream sometime soon. It'll probably be within next month. So you can check that out at twitch.tv/cloudcoma.
Yes.
I have a lot of links there too I'm going to try and put the WonderTilt stuff on there too. Right now it's just all my social media and stuff. but you can get updates on WonderTilt and my streaming times and stuff.
That's super awesome.
So yeah, just check that out, and like us, and also look forward to. I'm gonna try and get stuff on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. But those ones cost money, so
we'll
I'm just kind of working on
really
that right
good
now to get those together. So
that.
that's right.
I guess we're gonna actually have to like raise our performance.
Yeah,
Frick, Dave, you gotta
raise
show
the
up
bar.
next time, man.
Trevor,
Come on.
he's not pulling his weight.
That's
man.
right.
Trevor, where the hell are
Right.
you?
Man, he's your writer. Fire him. Get him out of here.
Trevor? Gosh.
You're fired. Get out of here.
Well, then be kind to one another, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Take this with you. Pick a win and stick with it. We hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
Take a big breath. Peace.
I didn't know what to say, so
It's all good.
Okay, bye.
It was kind of hard to think about.
Yes, it is. It's
Mhm.
very hard to think about. That was my water bottle.
It sure was.
I do not believe that for a second.
I don't either.
You need to get a new water bottle, sir.
That's right. Get that check,
Let
please.
me try again.
Wow.
Yeah. Are you using a whoopee cushion as a water bottle?
I wouldn't drink
because that's
from
not
that.
what you're supposed to do.
That's
Don't
right.
just stick a straw in there.
Ugh.
That's weird.
Like my Camelback water bottle is like just farting every time I drink. I was hoping I could drink from it during the podcast to like. That's not a good idea anymore.
You
Okay.
could. It'd liven it up a little bit.
Hey guys,
I
I
don't
just
know how many farts I can catch.
I just thought really
Yeah.
about this. Okay.